or someone else on the team needs to step up. We're diving into champions like the first bands have hit the table, so we're going to send it back over to Freakin' Azael for Game 2.
Thank you very much. Freakin' Azael is right there. I am Freak, and we have a 5-4 versus a 9-0 record up for us here.
Somehow I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
I could just feel it.
I felt it the first time as well, and I was like, it's not the time.
I think it was more, about how Dash tossed it.
Yeah.
Maybe he said our names too closely together.
Really emphatic.
And it's just like, you just have this fight or flight. Just
yeah, it's a hum and I have to
you
say
have
it.
to pun.
Yeah, I can't stop myself. So we are here. We are here. And it's time to see what Immortals wants to play for themselves. Ornn is banned, so the most obvious first pick is not around, but Set is up and a very good champion.
Yeah, Set definitely very, very strong. It is going to be Set first pick, it looks like, and I did get word I think we may be popping out of draft, so maybe some sort of issue.
Yeah, Xmithie keyboard issue is what I'm hearing, so not sure what that is exactly, but we'll see if those first drafts stand or not. I'm not certain. But it would not be surprised to see the first pick Set. I think that's actually a very, very reliable pickup all the same. And so, yeah, we could kind of talk about what's been happening with these teams. I actually am very intrigued by this stat that that was brought up at the analyst desk, which is that Immortals spends more time behind than ahead. Again, their record is 5-4. They are a winning team. They are tied for third. They spend more time behind than ahead. They have a negative gold difference over the league right now. Like, they've overall let their opponents gain more gold than they have, but they have killed more nexuses than they have lost.
Yeah, and I think partially that's due to the fact that they have some really intelligent veterans on the team who have been able to figure out ways to win games from difficult situations.
And sometimes that also can be, it can sometimes be kind of a compelling point as well, because one thing that I think, sometimes Stats does a bad job of, if you don't look at more context, is if you win quickly and lose slowly, you're like, yes, we got ahead and then we closed the game out in 22 minutes. We're really, really decisive. And if we're losing, we make you fight for it. Like, we fight tooth and nail. We won't fall over. We're so good at trying to claw back. It's like, well, you were behind for 35 minutes and you're only ahead for 8. It's like, well, but arguably we're actually really good, right? And so I'm not saying people are saying that.
For sure.
Exactly. It's like, but kind of reframing the context around like, hey, I generally tend to think that speaks a little positive to me as a team where it's like, well, yeah, when they fall behind, they often stay behind, but they are finding wins occasionally fairly quickly when they are.
Yeah, and I think the only kind of argument against it is that they haven't had a lot of dominant wins, right?
No.
So I think, most of the wins, and people, when you hear that stat, I immediately think of the CLG game.
Yes.
They're losing the whole game, they lose the soul, and then they pull off this backdoor, right? In what should have been an enormously CLG-favored game, right? And I do think that they have had, a number of games where they pull off this one big fight, where they're able to turn things around and make something happen. And that does deserve credit, right? That is a skill in and of itself, being able to kind of manipulate your way out of these difficult situations and find ways to win.
Yep, but of course they are coming off a 2-game loss streak right here on the Immortals side. They had recently gotten 4 in a row, which was good. It kind of catapulted up to the top of the standings. And so I am just sort of very curious, and I think almost everyone watching the league is, exactly how high do all these teams stack up when the records are so close together. It is very hard to tell definitively who is actually better than whom, and right now there's a lot of good teams.
And worth mentioning that 10 wins has never missed playoffs in LCS.
Yep.
It is not a mathematical lock for Cloud9, but if they win today, history would suggest they're in playoffs, and I don't think that's going to be a big shocker for anyone.
I think even before this game started, I'm like, I think Cloud9 is going to make playoffs.
Me too. But it is kind of cool to see, you're not that far into the split. 5 weeks in, to be like, yeah, we pretty much already made playoffs would be pretty insane, where a lot of the times there's such a shuffle. In week 9, teams are struggling to pick up those final wins, and Cloud9 is way out ahead of everyone, and that just demonstrates it.
Yeah, and Cloud9 actually still on the Senna train, actually. We've seen her drop off quite a bit. Worth pointing out that, yes, Aphelios was banned away, but and then Xayah picked up, but there were other options, but they are still on Senna.
So this is actually the Senna AD nerf pack, is it not? Right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really want to track then is how many souls is Zven actually going to get? Because essentially you're getting a lot less souls when CSing than you used to. So you are more reliant on kills, on trading, on these types of things to actually get to the same levels that you had before. In the LCS, my feeling, and generally what I've observed, is that there was just way less trading and way less fighting compared to solo queue and these types of things. So on average, I'm expecting Senna to be hit much more heavily in pro play, where it is that defensive, than it was in solo queue. That's why I wasn't expecting to see Senna as an ADC, as this kind of bot lane marksman, Zven.
Right.
Was expecting to see it more in support, if anything. So we'll be interested to see how it performs for Zven.
In Academy especially, and even elsewhere around the world, we've actually been seeing a little bit of a more hybrid play style. When Dig Academy played, Senna started as kind of the support for a while and like partially shared farm, and the Galio player in that lane was actually taking the lion's share of it, and it was kind of going halfway. And we had seen a different game where Senna was the hard support, but paired with a farming orange, that you're still, the damage was coming from Senna, but she was the harasser. And yeah, I think it's actually very compelling to see how the comp shapes up. Obviously with the Tahm Kench, Senna's mostly taking the farm here. We have seen things like Sona Tahm Kench, where the Tahm Kench is the farmer for the early game. I don't expect that to be the case here. I think it's going to be very, very standard marksman support stuff. And if Vladimir comes in for the mid game as the blind solo laner.
Yeah, I think it actually could just be answering set. I think you could just
right
to the top lane. It could go mid lane as well. Obviously, that is something that could be on the table, but I do think Vladimir fairly good matchup into set. It is something where set I think really does struggle against a lot of these range scaling matchups, right? It's not that Vladimir is going to dominate you, but I think Vladimir is good into set for the same reasons I think Kayle and Cassio and these champions are good into set, because if you create a farm lane where set cannot punish you, Vladimir, Cassio, Kayle, these champions are just worth more later in the game, and I do believe it is one of those matchups. But with the Elise getting locked in alongside the set, there is more of an opportunity to try to attack the Vladimir early. As Vladimir Lee Sin, you would expect to lose any sort of 2v2 that is played evenly up on that top side. So some pressure, I think, on Soaz already and on Xmithie to put Licorice down in the early stages. Otherwise, they're going to feel the wrath of Vladimir later on.
Yeah, and there's still the 1% chance something that Vlad still goes to the mid lane, so like has to be respectful of that potential matchup. Grabs the Orianna, which we know to be more or less a blind pick-ish mid laner, but should feel comfortable against the Vlad. And now we're going to see for sure, yeah, it's Zoe coming through. It is Vlad on the top lane. That was the expectation coming through. You called it out, Azael. And Zoe will answer here in mid. Then we have a lot of long-range damage, but also worth pointing out that Senna also has backline access. If there is some open assassination, the ult goes over the top, will hit the Orianna or the Xayah or whatever. So if Licorice is going for a flank play, he has some support.
Yeah, the engage more reliable on the side of Immortals, definitely, when you have that Recon, that is kind of your go button, link up with the Orianna. Immortals comp speaks very heavily to wanting to team fight, to 5v5, to find that engage, jump onto someone like that Senna, take them down, or the Zoe, try to pick them off. I do think Cloud9 is going to have to be a bit more creative about their engages, try to find opportunities where they can force Immortals to fight them, poking out with Zoe and then looking to follow up on that poke with an engage or a flank then from Lee Sin, from Vladimir, these types of stories. We also have to always remember that you can play through side lane with Vladimir, especially when paired along a Senna and a Tahm Kench. You get in any sort of difficult 1v1 situation, that Senna ult can turn the tides, and also rotations coming through from the Tahm Kench, ulting someone into your lane, turning a 1v1 into a 3v1, maybe taking down that set and swinging the game in your favor.
All right, so Blaber, 6 games now on Lee Sin across 10 games in the LCS. The full-time starter for Cloud9. He is everyone's favorite for best jungler in the LCS right now. Of course, with a lot of winning lanes and a lot of skilled players, it's not much of a surprise to have that happen. But honestly, Cloud9's been rewarded with their roster positions this year.
I mean, his kick that he pulled off yesterday on Lee Sin, I think was one of the best mechanical plays I've seen in the LCS ever. He has really pulled off some special stuff and is shining truly in his first kind of full-time starter as Cloud9.
Yeah, beautiful stuff right here to see him grow into that role, and we are now onto the Rift. Can Immortals be the first team to stop the Cloud9 undefeated season? They'd be one of the teams I think could do it. I think they have gotten a lot of unexpected results so far. I think they can be very creative. We heard Soaz talk about his respect for Huni being another creative player. I think finding something a little unorthodox could be very good here for Immortals. If that does come through, they can find some kind of interesting line of play. But real quick, though, we've got Gabby standing by with Reaper.
Thank you so much, Freak. I just wanted to get some words from you before we head into this game. First of all, 9-0 going into the second half of the regular portion. Is there anything different in your approach once that happens?
No, not really.
That's what I figured as much, because a lot of the picks that you're coming through are very similar to the first half. One different thing I want to know is Vladimir. So how do you feel that he's going to be able to do in the top lane, especially if there is a focus from the other team?
Probably Licorice get pushed in 24/7 and he's scaling out. Later team fight, he gonna crushing the enemy team, but early game probably rough for him. So yeah, we'll see.
Any plans to try and combat the team fighting that Immortals are definitely going to try and insist upon here?
I don't think they can out-teamfight us.
All right, well, that's words from Reaper. Let's head back into game.
All right, well, I had our awesome stats team check stuff out for me. Blaber is indeed the first player to play a champion 6 times this split. He is the most Lee Sin one trick of any player. But Froggen and, I actually forgot the name, I want to say it's Uni, both have 5 picks on their most played champions. They can tie. They can tie for the 6x, but one up on it, Blaber is very much all about playing Lee Sin, and hey, that's been rewarded.
Yeah, I think he also does have a lot of other champions that he can bring into the mix when appropriate, but hey, Lee Sin, very strong in the meta right now. They love pairing it alongside these AP solo laners. And it was nice to hear some of that insight from Reaper. It's pretty much largely as expected. You know, this is what I was talking about with Vladimir. Hey, you just farm it out, you scale, you look to get more done later on. We'll have to track if he can withstand that early game, though, from Soaz and Xmithie.
Zven gets a soul. He's on the way, gets the double auto in there as well, so picks that one up. And we'll keep the track going over the course of time, but bot lane is being pushed in. And I want to point out, by the way, that it's Tom Kench Doran's ring and Zven going for the sickle. So, you know, it is very harass-based, and it's Zven trying to stack up, letting Vulcan get the money.
Yep. And I actually really like this, right? Because I do think that you need to make these adjustments. You just won't have souls in pro play if all you're doing is farm. You need to be harassing. So Zven going for this sickle, really cool adjustment. You're going to be stacking that up by harassing. You're going to be stacking up your souls from harassing. And around the time that you do actually complete that support item, I am assuming he's going to start picking up way more of the farm, look to kind of scale there. This is going to make Vulcan much more of a true tank in that front line. Potential for a 2v2 going on here around mid lane as Xmithie's wrapping around.
All right, there's going to be the Drowsy. Decent damage to be found. Here's the Q's going to land. They go right in for it. Knows he can ward up, or at least, sorry, just W back to his team. And they burn Eika's heal and give him to half HP.
Yeah, Nisqy, I think, had a stolen summoner there, so was able to use the heal for the dive. Not much risk there. Grabs another heal for himself now. Xmithie, though, pathing up to that top side. He is going to be spotted out in this Tri-Brush ward, but there is potential for some sort of a play. He's just going to be on Krugs now, and Cloud9 is aware of where Xmithie is, thanks to that ward that we are seeing right down at the bottom of the screen right there.
As that's going to be smited away, Xmithie gets some of the gold, and I believe without killing the other medium Krug will not force the despawn of the camp, so it'll just be a very minor amount of gold and XP available to Blaber if he ever walks up there. As, yeah, I think Xmithie is known to be around. Licorice can like see him at this point. He's in vision range, so he's got to fight in the bottom side. Nice chomp for Vulcan, and that goes over.
This is really fun. You know, it's a way to actually see them continue to play this pick that is so good for them.
Yeah.
While, you know, kind of adjusting to the changes that were made in the meta. And it does feel a little bit reminiscent of kind of like the Sonatera type stuff that we had seen in the past, where you're, you know, putting a lot of farm on your support early to get them very strong. Obviously, they can't do the double support items because they'll actually be, you know, cut off, and they'll hit that limit where you're getting less and less gold from the farm. So, you know, Vulcan will be way behind on the Sightstone. That is something that is going to come out. And I'm not even sure if Vulcan is going to build a Sightstone this game as a result.
Well, that is a knockup. That is some damage for the root over the back. Now you got Xmithie here as well, and Cocoon goes on to Zven, who then is chomped by Vulcan. I think you just have to go for the stun on the Tom Kench, or they're always brought to safety. So pretty easy walkaway for C9.
Yeah, going to be able to back it up. Just good positioning, I think, from the two. Vulcan trying to have that. Ooh, that seep was really close on Hakuho, who could have been in trouble if that did land. And up here on this top side, again, it is more trading, but especially with Phase Rush, you can beat down the Vladimir a bit, but he can actually keep his distance, heal back up with the constant transfusions, and really just play this fairly defensive, because as Vladimir, as long as you're farming okay and you're staying alive, you're getting more than the set is.
Yep, and we're continuing to see a fairly standard pickup, which is Doran's Ring. Even if you don't need the mana regen, it's still gold efficient, ability, power, and health, which are stats that Vladimir really, really wants. So we're going to see a lot more of that over time, and we see the same thing for champions like Akali as well. It's just a good item.
One of the things that's also really nice about that item for Vladimir is Vladimir has pretty low base AD. It can be fairly hard to actually, you know, last hit sometimes on this champion. Having the Dorans for the extra damage on that is going to make it easier to last hit.
Yeah, Doran's Ring specifically has a 5 damage versus minions passive on basic attack. For those who didn't know, that was on the tooltip. Who doesn't buy that item? But there you go. Makes your life a little bit easier. So I was just shoving in. The first TP is burned, and Licorice has the first power spike you really care about. The arm guard is in. make him quite tanky. Now, worth pointing out, he's only fighting a bit of physical damage from Soaz.
Actually,
Iika and Xmithie are matching.
I actually don't like the buy. I think it's a little bit weird when you're building no HP and you're going to be against an Elise who can come in and one-hit you. Yes, it is very effective if you're only against that set and just kind of chilling there. But I tend to think just the CDR rush is very effective both in the 1v1 against set and also is going to do more for you against Xmithie if he shows up.
Shockwave, Dissonance, half HP, knock up, knock me out as Nisqy kites around it. Goes back for a bit of poke as well and almost answers the entire health bar.
Yeah, the Spell Thief's speed up there when he actually pops that passive, utilizes his heal. He gets so much movement speed. He did not flash out of that. He just straight up runs. Altec now in trouble.
Oh, that is a bit of pain right there. Altec has to run back, has no summoners, and first blood comes through to Zven.
The roam is immediately punished. Altec not level 6, pushing up there, does get caught and chased down. Glacial Augment really helping out in that. And they knew Hakuho had made his move mid. Nisqy able to avoid that with just the expended heal. So we'll watch this one more time. And I think Nisqy is one of the best players in the league at these little movements, at the dodges. He's so good at changing direction quickly and really knowing his limits. And then there, pops the heal, just straight up runs on out. I think 9 out of 10 pros flash that probably.
Sure.
I do think that was really, really nicely done. And then down on the bottom side, the root needed to be flashed. Yeah, needed to be flashed by Altec. Once that connects, they're going to continue the dive. He gets chased down, loses both summoners, and first blood goes over on Zven, who is more reliant on that gold than usual because he's not picking up the minion farms. This is even better for him. And he's likely very ahead of what the curve is normally. He already has 28 souls. So that's actually quite a lot more than you would normally see in pro play because they don't trade so much. But he's just basically right-clicking on his opponents.
He may just play dedicated support. I wouldn't be surprised if the first item there was Umbral Glaive. As, a big fight on the top side. Ultis burn on both halves. Licorice trying to kite away as much as he can. Get a second Q across, and now here comes Zven. That's going to be plenty of damage. Easily grabs the soul. True damage does come through, but Empowered Transfusion is in. And with the ward, going to be another kill picked up. Sven's 2-0.
Very well done. Grabbing another kill on the rotation. They make the move over to Rift Herald. Licorice starting that fight off against Soaz, knowing he has the help from Zven. Doesn't even cost him Sentinel or anything like that. And Soaz intentionally not flashing, obviously. Once you get hit by that root, you are going to be dead. And I don't think he really had any chance to actually get out of there anyway. But down on the bottom side, it is Immortals pushing. They're going to leave Altec solo, while Cloud9 does try to rush this down up here.
If he summons at the wrong time, Xmithie can randomly stun him. The first second is still a real channel, and
have you actually seen it interrupted? I still have never seen it.
Because it's like not really every time too.
Yeah.
It's not that second channel like before. So big damage here. This turret, I'm not sure if they're going to stay for the summon or they're going to go for it a little bit later.
Okay, another shockwave over on a Nisqy. He's going to have to back it up, but this is mostly just for lane priority. Iika, relatively low cooldown on the ultimate, has the blue buff, so just using it for an HP positive trade, not expecting to get a kill for himself there. And Hakuho now on that roam up the top side, helping Soaz to defend this turret, while it is Licorice laning solo right now against Altec.
Yep. 1 CS gained as Vulcan couldn't have grabbed that one because Tongue Lash was on cooldown, and a little bit of money comes through.
I just want to point out this nice little setup, while the wards are actually being picked out. So.
Wait, hold on. This is actually a million damage eventually. Fuse on cooldown, never mind. Ike is fine. Take it back.
He is going to survive. But Cloud9, they just basically had a really nice kind of line of wards up on the top side. That is a very funny Rift Herald drop. But you can see, this was the setup for this Rift Herald, right? There are 3 pink wards all across here. They have that Scuttle Crab taken as well. It allows their bot lane to push very safely, knowing that they're not going to be kind of attacked from that angle. And Rift Herald comes in. They will clean this up. Is Zven in range? Yes, he is.
Yep.
Until he moves forward.
5 out of 70. Right? Because, of course, the Lee Sin is nowhere near the extended Herald gold radius. So it's all on Zven as the only person within 800 units right there. 570 goes in, a ton of cash, and the support, right? He has 11 CS, and the Spectre Sickle
gold.
Has the most gold in the game. He's doing great.
Yep, multiple kills, including first blood, plus solo first turret gold, right?
Yeah.
That'll do it right there. That is the advantage. 400 from first blood, 570 from that turret. That alone really kind of makes that difference. So Zven off to the races, is actually going for the Umbral Glaive. That is the vision lethality item here too. That is going to allow him to reveal wards and do the 3 hits of damage, so one-shot those regular wards. Really does play well around vision. It is going to be Vulcan straight up rushing towards the Deadman's.
is going to be just getting rushed down right now as Immortals are not really able to play down to this bottom river with all the vision gone. And of course, the tankier than normal Tom Kent with all the extra farm is going to feel very comfortable as well as the second Drake goes down. And C9 are already up 3,000 gold in 2 Drakes.
And when you take into consideration the fact that we talked about, all right, well, you got to be worried about the early game if you're Vladimir. There's going to be all this pressure coming from, from Soaz and Xmithie. There was none of that, right? So the gold lead is really even kind of more effectively when you're taking into consideration that matchup and how powerful the Vladimir can be later on, how much of a teamfight force he can be, and the amount of souls that Zven has. He's just way ahead of the curve.
And now a play towards the bottom side. Vulcan brings him right in, and Soaz going to try his best. He dunks him out of the wave, and there's the really nice knock-up by Hakuho. But is it enough damage? Zven pops a stopwatch. Vulcan's sitting around, and Blaber's there as well. Cloud9 staying alive, but they're still in danger. Licorine's forced to flash away. All 5 are around. They certainly tried very hard. They didn't get very far, Cloud9.
Yeah, not able to kill anyone there, but Immortals only had 4 here. Cloud9 did bring 5. So the untold story right now is Altec pushing up on that top side, trying to grab some more gold for himself, but Zven has a ridiculous amount of souls. Already past that second mark of additional range. He has 50 souls at 12 minutes.
Oh, that was almost a kill on the Elise. Nice jump away from Blaber as well. Gets out of Hakuho's knockup as the TP went top side, and Licorice was able to hold the way without losing more than that single turret late. Bot lane's under heavy fire as Cloud9 looks to extend the gold lead.
Yeah, going to be able to grab this turret here too. They're going to be 4,000 gold ahead at 13 minutes. That is just insane. When it's a 2-kill game and they are this far ahead in gold, they have dominated you in the laning phase. They have dominated you on moving around the map. And this is what Cloud9 is doing to teams right now in the LCS. They are making you look silly.
Yeah. But Azael, this is what Immortals has teams do to them, and they're 5-4. They take the gold deficit.
They're not this behind normally, Freak.
I know. I was mostly kidding.
Yeah.
I'm actually entirely kidding.
I object.
You know what? That's fair. Your objection is sustained. As a former juror, literally a former juror,
Nope.
Literally. I don't know who would be figuratively a juror.
Yeah.
I accept your objection.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's good to know that you have that life experience.
Yeah, I do.
You know?
It was a very boring case.
All right, well, 13 minutes in, Cloud9 not going to be able to grab any more turret plates, but they did fully clear off the ones in bot and top. And now it's going to be about this next dragon, right? They already have 2 very early dragons. They could look for the Infernal in or around 16 minutes. That is on pace for potentially, 20, 21 minutes for a soul. That is insane. That is so damn fast. And it is going to be one that is very, very effective when you look over at this Inferno soul that is so easy to apply from Zoe, long-range poke, even Zven there can get involved, and it's adding to the potential kind of one combo style of damage that someone like Licorice can threaten in a team fight.
All right, well, the predictions for who's going to win, I think we know that one. Xmithie, though, is going to find a lot of damage, and Blaber doesn't have a way out. A nice setup for Xmithie, knocked him down.
Yep, CC chain 100-0 there, very well done, but Cloud9 forcing out that ultimate. Vulcan now has the dead man, so he's a very tanky catfish here. Runs up, hits him with the tongue lash. That sets up for what would be an easy route from Zven. So already, Altec forced to use that ultimate and chunked very, very low at the same time. And the more souls you collect early on, the easier it gets to continue collecting souls because your range is longer. It's easier to hit those autos and continue stacking it up. And Zven is well and truly so far ahead of any LCS game I have seen as far as the souls go.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you get even more souls if you're not farming yet, still giving them the kills and a lot of the harass damage. When Shotgun comes in, that's decent damage, but right into the Shroud they go. Feeling safe yet again as Licorice is going to do battle with Xmithie, and 3-level lead. I think Vlad wins that one.
Yep, he won't be too worried about it. Already up at level 11, where he is going to be doing very, very good. Really, the first 9 levels of the game are the hardest for Vlad. It kind of is all good past there. Once you have enough CDR, you have the maximum rank on your queue, it becomes very difficult for Set to do anything in a matchup like this. And the rest is kind of just that added bonus. The amp damage coming across is really going to help some of the other damage dealers to finish people off. And because it is just kind of set as that only real frontliner for Immortals, they are going to be ending up fairly squishy, and I think it's going to be largely reliant on finding a really good engage from Hakuho with that follow-up shockwave from Eika if they want to have a chance to win the fight.
Next Herald Summon comes in, and Zven is about to get the rest of the damage onto this turret, has tagged it. That's going to be an almost dead turret. There it goes, rest of the way down. C9 has cracked all three out, haven't lost a single structure themselves. As they look to play around the bottom river, the Infernal Drake has respawned, and already Blaber is on that one. Ooh, that was almost a cocoon. That barely missed.
Yeah, Eika coming around the side is potential to cut someone off if they go over, but Blaber's just soloing this. And Immortals really has no way in. If Eika shows, he can just be jumped on and kind of kicked over by Blaber, so doesn't really have the opportunity to look for anything. I think he was hoping that Zoe would show and try to look for more poke of the wall. We could see a potential shockwave attempt, so I don't think he's got much of a shot at getting it.
It's going to be some damage, but Blaber times.
Damage.
Yeah. I think Licorine probably walked closer, gave him the W out a bit sooner, but still works out in the end, still gets the Drake, and it's still 3-0 in that scoreline as the ult comes into the turret. Nisqy, though, has to flash to stay alive. Now gets a quick shield. Doesn't quite land the paddle star, but Soaz not allowed to fight anymore.
Yeah, Nisqy, pretty brazen attempt to just walk through the melee champion set there. And Soaz reminds him that he still can get some damage done. You know, forcing out both summoners, forcing out the defensive ultimate there from Senna, as well as the ultimate from Tahm Kench. So good pressure from Soaz can help to relieve a little bit of the threat that they had been under over these last couple minutes. Maybe force Nisqy a bit more defensive while he waits on those cooldowns.
Yeah, that might slow him down a little bit, but we know that a wind condition coming in about 4 minutes when that Infernal Drake spawns. That soul probably seals the deal here. Gold difference has stuck at 4,000 though. You know, I meant it a little bit jokingly, but this is a little bit the Immortals' comfort spot where they get behind, but they still find ways to play at least the game intelligently despite the deficits, right? They found a good pick a little earlier from Xmithie. They found a good fight up the top side. They are still working with what they've got.
Yeah, and you know, they're holding on. They're not 100% of this game, but it is very concerning when you take into consideration Cloud9's track record throughout the split, which has basically been early soul, first Baron, game ends. And that's pretty much what it looks like almost every single time. They very rarely have gone over 30 minutes. So Immortals are going to have to be able to withstand this because Cloud9 is not a team to sit back. They are always pushing for additional advantages. They are always willing to make these aggressive plays, counting on the fact that they can outplay, counting on the fact that they can win these fights. We heard Vulcan talking earlier in that interview about how we can take any team fight and win, and team fights that should be 50-50 are 80-20 because we have the best mechanical player in every role.
Sure, and even beyond that, like they're winning games more than 80-20, right? They're winning 100-0 in all these games so far. If they were an 80-20 team, they'd be 8-2 at the end of this game, right? So even beyond, I mean, that's the expected value of the record, right?
I will contest you on that because here's the thing. So that's true if one fight decides everything,
well,
right?
And that's the point I'm going to. Is they're not just, well, it's just team fight coin flips, and if we win, we win. It's they're so much better than even just their team fighting skill that it is 10-0 on the scoreboard.
Yeah, totally. And they're willing to continuously take these fights. So if they take one and they miss execute, right? We saw, you know, against TSM, Blaber and Nisqy double killed by Bjergsen early on. Bjergsen's 2-0 over Renekton, gets double buffs. Should be pretty bad, but they have the confidence to continue taking these fights, and over the long run, they will outplay you more often than not, as has been evidenced by this 9-0 record. So Cloud9 in full control, 2 minutes until that next Infernal. That is going to be the big point to contest.
And Zven just crested the 80 soul mark right now, under 20 minutes in. That's a really high score line. I want to point a couple things he did so far in this game. You saw a little bit ago, he was letting Blaber kill the red buff, and then sitting around by the Raptor camp. Large monsters always drop a soul, and Dragon drops 2. So if you're around, you get some extra souls to this one. Now a fight towards the bottom side, early flash. E plus Q plus everything else gets the extra move speed, and out goes Licorice.
Yep, pops Phase Rush, does get out of there. Pretty respectful flash, I have to say. I guess he just doesn't want to take any sort of risk. I'm not sure that they could have actually just burst him down 100-0, but this guarantees he's not going to be in any danger of that. And yeah, I mean, Zven sitting at 700 range right now. That is pretty intimidating stuff. This early on in the game, doesn't even need a rapid fire or anything like that to do it. And they have essentially that extra tank from Vulcan because normally you are kind of more just standing behind your teammates, you know, eating them up, but you're not really a true tank on Tahm Kench unless you have something like a Stoneblade active. Whereas in this case, you know, he has very, very good itemization, right? Like, he's going to be down levels compared to a Soul Lane tank, but really, as far as itemization, right up there.
Yeah, I mean, his money, he's 2K above Hakuho individually. The AD carries actually, it's gone towards Altec slightly, actually, because as time has gone on and farm has been more important. That is getting different, but now there is a fight towards the bottom side. Rappel up, and Blaber wants to find the CC. Never quite goes for the kick. Shotgun built some time, looking for the knockups now as well as Eika fights the backside. As now he looked for Nisqy cutting away. Ult's gonna come over the top. Eika almost dead. They find that kill from Zven. He's 3-0. Every kill has gone to him.
Soaz is behind them. Will he try to go for the play here? Could get turned on, but it looks like he's not gonna be able to, and that's probably just Soul. Xmithie's gonna have to reset. Dragon is spawning here in 10, and Cloud9 take another dominant teamfight win.
Attempted poke. Nisqy finds almost asleep, but if they can find a kill on Immortals, they'll go for the kill. Doesn't land that one though, and with the Dragon alive, that should be an easy pickup. Q over the wall.
Yeah, Nisqy's just gonna stay over here. He wants to keep Xmithie away. Deny any potential chance of a 50-50, but Xmithie, as we can see, has no interest in coming over to this Dragon. He's actually heading up towards Baron, maybe trying to get the scuttle, a little bit of vision to prevent that, but this early on, 22 minutes, you have Soul and this type of a gold lead. This is an insane advantage for Cloud9.
Yeah. I want to still give credit to Immortals. The gold lead has stayed 3,000 for the last 10 minutes. That is nice, but C9 playing defensively for the Soul, they get it after this fight.
Yep, so here it is one more time. Blaber going in, flashes back as he does not want to follow Hakuho into that turret and get CC'd up, then die. They turn over onto Eika, who is kind of separated out from the team, and do get him very, very low, able to finish him off with that flash forward from Zven for the final auto. Cloud9 looking for a proactive play, able to make it happen, grabbing the Soul as a result.
And you can see damage done the entire game. Senna is indeed topping the charts. Vladimir versus Melee, that's not much of a surprise either. But it is said he's putting out some damage, so Soaz maybe put in a little bit of work here. Now that we're into sort of mid-game team fights and Altec is about to be at 2 major items, probably see that Xayah come online pretty soon, but mid-tier 2 is now gone. The gold lead goes back up to 4,000, and Baron is easily on the plate.
Yeah, and that's where they're going to go. They're going to look to pressure around that. I think that's why we saw Xmithie running over, trying to get vision in that Baron area. But Cloud9 very clearly will be able to start up this fight. I think their turn is pretty good. It is incredibly difficult to actually assail that established position, kind of similarly to how we saw Jizuke performing on Zoe for EG. We can look to see Nisqy zoning people out, poking them out, dissuading Immortals from even challenging in that area, and that's where they could potentially just close it out.
More magic if Nisqy grabs a cleanse.
You can also note how Zven intentionally not CSing that cannon. There is a guaranteed soul if you do not CS the cannon, so he allowed that to go over to Nisqy and pick up the guaranteed soul for himself, kind of overall more value for the team when you're counting that additional AD and central range.
Yeah, even though Zven has some CS, he's generally not trying to take the minions away. He's mostly grabbing them when Vulcan can't.
Yeah.
It is because you can take 3 CS every 10 minutes and not take a penalty. And a lot of the games we've been seeing of this sort of like the bot farm player is playing support Senna, they will take 3 CS every 10 minutes. Like they will, or every 3 CS a minute rather, right? And they will take half the melees. Zven was not going to do that. He was 0 CS the first 3 waves because he was saying, no, I'm only going for soul farm. I'm not trying to get 19 gold and some souls. I'm going max soul farm. And I think that is the right way of playing it ultimately. I know Jat really champions mix and matching a bit of both, but with the increased soul drop chance when you don't CS, I think you go full support style.
Yeah, I completely agree. And here we have Cloud9 on the Baron, is spotted, but look at Licorice. He's ready for this flank, and if Immortals fully commit in for this, they are going to get roasted by this Vladimir, and they are moving forward now.
Sleeping Elise, that's going to be her looking a little bit to be at half HP already. Jumps away, stays alive, but a very clean peel for C9.
I feel like C9 could have just stayed on the Baron, though. Just leave Blaber and Zven on the Baron and allow Immortals to more fully commit to it, then turn for the fight. Because when they actually look to turn, Licorice wasn't really behind anyone. So they are, again, back on this. It does go down pretty slowly with this Senna as kind of that only marksman. You know, not a lot of pressure to kick that down pretty quick.
But they're still poking down. They've still pushed Hakuho to half HP. Xmithie, Blast comes over the wall. He's on the top left-hand side. I believe he's in fog the whole time.
Yeah.
Now he's seen by Vulcan. They know where he is, and he has smite, but no flash. They gotta watch out for the chance of a steal. The engage comes in now for Hakuho. Vulcan at half health. Blaber still on the Baron. They don't quite get the catch from Xmithie. Licorine stunned up. They go for the engage. The nice kick comes in. They find that first kill. Ult to the top, but it's a kill in now for Altec. Can they win the fight? A smite comes in, but the kill to get it back as well. Soaz running for G life, but doesn't live either. Altec now trying to run away from a very taking time. Kenshin Zven putting in the damage as well. Eika is next. Zven onto a triple, going for the Quadra, and Hakuho trying to find the way to run away. Will they get the root? No, but a triple and a Baron picked up for Cloud9.
Cloud9 able to clean that up. A bit of a botched engage from Licorice, but such a strong performance here from Nisqy and Zven cleaning that up on the back end of that fight. They have the Baron, they have the Soul, and this is traditionally where Cloud9 just ends the game. So let's watch this one more time. Licorice looking for the engage over onto Xmithie. You know, the initial ultimate used on Vulcan, but he's pretty heavily healthy here. The flash and E there actually just whiffs on Xmithie. Licorice did not actually close the gap. He gets cocooned immediately, really nicely played by Xmithie. Knocked down pretty much immediately after that. Then the turn comes over to Blaber. This is where it is a lot of pressure on Blaber. He actually hit the smite as he is getting shockwave and about to die. So good presence of mind to not panic. And in the meantime, Zven keeping range, has an incredible amount of souls. Him, Vulcan, and Nisqy able to clean up the rest of this fight and have everything they need to look to close this one out. Zven sitting over 100 souls now. Nion unassailable with this range and Tom Kent behind him.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 725 basic attack range.
Plus rapid fire.
Yeah, makes it look really good. And okay, that is another kill in for Zven. He's feeling real comfortable here as the push continues onto the bottom side. Xmithie running out of health as well. Ult comes over the top. Look at the damage onto sleeping Altec as the Q comes out, forces the flash away as well. Bottom inhibitor is broken. Mid already siege down as well. Cloud9 on average win in under 30 minutes. And this game looks to be no different, continuing to absolutely slaughter other LCS teams. The second round robin begins as the first one ended an undefeated run, absolute smashing early games, and closing out quickly as they've still got a 5-on-4 right now. Looking to knock down the last few minion waves and push in towards the Nexus. Immortals gonna do their very best to hold on, but they are down 8,000 gold, a Baron buff, an Infernal Soul, and 100 soul stacked Senna.
Yeah, Cloud9 have everything they need to close this out, but they are getting a bit hesitant. Immortals has 5 members. Great engage.
Looking for the charm, the knock-up to get the kill on the Blaber. Nice pickup there. It's a quick save as Zven's going to stay alive, and Xmithie is going to drop right after Hakuho already has. Tries for the flash in the backline. Zven's flash for safety, and now they've got a 4v3. This should be the game ended now as Zven heals up the squad. Goes ahead and just takes the CS just to push in. Doesn't matter anymore. That's almost a kill coming in. Eika's going to stay alive, but the Nexus will drop. It's a 29-minute win. They're going to pad the DPM real quick as Soaz does his very best, and it's not enough. Cloud9, 10-0.
An incredible run so far for Cloud9 in the LCS spring split. The questions are arising. The questions are being answered. They have dominated everyone across the first 10 games, and you've got to start talking about how does this team stack up all time in this league, because they are looking so damn good, win after win after win. I cannot remember a run as dominant in LCS history. 10 games, all it feels like 30 minutes or less pretty much. They are crushing the league.
So this feels like, in most specific example, it feels like Cloud9 summer 2013 entering the season. They went 25-3 in a 28-game season, and that felt like a track record that could not be beat because they were clapping people so aggressively. The KDAs were all double digits for every player. That's what it feels like, and Cloud9 in 2020 are in that form now as well. It's an amazing sight to behold. Look at the smiles on their faces.
Get excited.
After the break, the State Farm analysts will break down, air quote, no, it's real support, Senna, and how Cloud9 used it to take down Immortals. Don't go anywhere.